Hey guys, it's Ashley with 3R Sales and Service. Today we're taking a look at one of our COACHWHIP truck packages. This is a 16-foot box truck, and we've got two 10-gallon-a-minute pressure washers and a 11-gallon-per-minute gas engine Softwash system, along with a one of the wall mount Tucker window cleaning systems. So from this end, we'll go over everything that we can see from the outside of the truck, and then we'll climb on in and take a peek inside. So starting with the hose reels, we've got 4 of our Titan electric hose reels. Those are the 18-inch reels. They do have the premium hose guides on it, so it makes it a lot easier to pull things out at like a 90-degree angle if you're parked on the side of the road. On the bottom, we've got our 3/4 inch Flexzilla hose. It's nice and lightweight, but easy to use, and it doesn't memorize kinks. And we have that on our 1-inch manifold hose reel. So it fills the 525-gallon onboard tank very quickly. We have 2 hose reels next to it for pressure washer number 1 and pressure washer number 2. Those both have 200 feet of 1/2-inch hose. And then up top, we've got 300 feet of 1/2-inch hose for the Softwash system. You can see we've got our locking connectors in there, keeps everything nice and tidy. So if you're in front of the customer and you roll up the door, everything looks nice, clean, and organized. For the pressure washers, we do have the nozzles available right there on the reels, so it's easy to access. Over here, we have our first 10-gallon-minute pressure washer. It has the Honda GX 800 engine and the big TSF series general pumps. That's what both of these pressure washers are. They're identical systems. The nice thing about these units is it comes on an aluminum base. We have the external unloader valve. So what's nice about that is it's a bigger, beefier unloader, but it's also not attached to the pump head, which has a little bit more vibration to it. So it just gives more longevity to those components. We have a bleeder valve on the pump head, and what that does is it allows us to clear any air that's in that water line between the water tank and the pressure washer. So we have a much easier startup, and you don't have the pump head getting too hot because there's not enough water in it, or able to just kind of suction and pull everything. So just another one of those things that we use to make it a much easier startup and lower maintenance on your system overall. On the walls, you can see we have a couple hooks. This holds a lot of the poles for the window cleaning system and telescopic wand for the pressure washer. And then down below, we've just got our gun wand assemblies that go with each one of those systems. So I'll climb on up and we'll go over everything else that's inside. Okay, so from inside this COACHWHIP truck package, you can see the rest of the equipment that we have in here. We have somebody coming to pick this up tomorrow, so we do have their spare parts in here as well. But the way that we have the pressure washer set up, we've got both of them being ventilated down through the floor of the box. So all of the heat and all of the exhaust is out of the truck so that we have nice, cool, fresh air going into these engines, and it helps keep the pump heads cooler as well. Up here in Northeast Ohio, it doesn't get as hot, but these go all over the United States, so it could be much warmer in your climate, and you don't want any more hot air in here than there has to be. So this is set up the exact same way as we described on the other one, bleeder valve. As we move over here a little bit more, you can see the plumbing that goes to both of those pressure washers. We have T-strainers that filter out any debris before it goes to each pump head. So we put ball valves in front of those strainers so that you can cut off the water flow to it if you need to clean out the strainer and it doesn't dump 525 gallons inside your truck. There's also a tank drain on the other side, so you can clear that out as well if you need to. And by other side, I meant the same side. It's actually over here. I looked at the wrong. There's a 2-inch tank drain, making it very quick to empty out this tank if you need to, but these ball valves just make it easy so that if you've already got this full, you don't have to empty it in order to change or clean out your filter. We have a 30-inch Mossmatic surface cleaner that's paired with these 10-gallon-a-minute systems. Again, 525-gallon water tank. You can see there's a T-strainer on top as well. This filter right here. This is what's filtering the water before it even goes into the tank. So where your garden hose attaches, it feeds all the way up into here, follows this green hose, and fills the tank. And so it catches the majority of the debris, making it easy to catch the majority of things before it even goes and settles inside your tank. We have our window cleaning system fed off of here as well. And then we can kind of move around, change positions here. The window cleaning system has your 4-stage cleaning to purify the water so that you're cleaning the windows with purified 0 parts per million water. The cartridges, the bigger the cartridges, the easier or less changing that you have to do. And the nice thing about these is you just slide them out, you put the new cartridge in, and they last a lot more hours in between changes. And the more often you're changing the RO and the carbon filter and the DI filter, the less often you have to change your RO filters, which those are the big ones. This is the pump that is forcing the water through there and sending it off to the water-fed poles and accessories that you use. It does come with an additional 150-foot hose so that you can take that a long ways, and then you get the 100-foot hose that comes with the wand assembly. The wand assembly for this is a 50-footer. So moving on down, now we get into our Softwash system. Change positions here, give you a little bit more room. So our Softwash system we have our 55-gallon bleach tank, which also pulls through the pressure washers. I'll get to that here in a second. We have our surfactant tank, which is 7 gallons. And then we've got our Softwash with a GX 160 engine and a P40 Comet pump. This is all attached to our metering system and a remote rinse for that. So the metering system allows you to change your ratios when you're blending your water, your surfactant, and your bleach. So you can switch from house mix over to roof mix or anywhere in between very quickly just by changing these levers. What this allows you to do is to remotely turn off your chemical draw and only rinse. So what it does is it completely shuts off your surfactant and it switches this over to draw water instead, so you still have full flow going through this system. And we're not restricting anything by any means as it's going to the Softwash pump. So super easy to use, comes with a little remote. This light flashes whenever you're drawing chemical, turns off whenever you're not drawing chemical, so very user-friendly. On the engine side of things, because it's a single cylinder engine, we can't just put a pipe through the floor and vent it out the same way that we did. So we have an access panel that gets opened before you start the system. And we've also got automatic start on this engine as well. So you can be a few hundred feet away, you need to turn off while you're in the middle of doing an application, or let's just say something happened, you have a hose start leaking, you can quickly turn that off without having to run back to the truck, and vice versa. If you're already up on a ladder ready to wash, you can just hit the button to turn it back on. So very easy to use. We do put switches on all of this stuff as well, so you're not getting a constant draw from your remote rinse and those kinds of accessories. We have a switch that can turn off that power draw, so you don't have a dead battery whenever you go to open up your truck and use it, especially if it's like a week or 2 weeks in between uses. We have our 22-gallon fuel tank. This fuel tank feeds both pressure washers, so that you can fill it up and go for a while without having to come back and refill. It does have a gauge on there, so you can see right where your levels are at. And we do have a vent on this as well, so that any of the fumes from it are actually being pushed out through the floor of the truck, so it doesn't get trapped inside here when you go to start your engines having fumes inside. For the pressure washer, soap injection. So that's where all of this comes in. We have soap manifolds that allow you to select or blend the soap through your soap injector. The soap injector is actually here on the Flow Pros, and what a Flow Pro is a remote chemical injector bypass system. And those come in handy when you have high flow equipment, typically like 8, 10 plus gallon per minute system. And when you're trying to feed your soap through this injector, it's actually restricting your water flow quite a bit. So when you're soaping down, it's totally fine. But when you want full flow, or you're using the surface cleaner and you want to maximize your speed, you hit the button, you go around the injector. So instead of forcing the water through here and drawing soap, it actually just goes straight through. You have this ball valve right here that controls that, and it goes right to your hose reel. So it's completely eliminating that restriction at the soap injector. So having that, we've got one for pressure washer number 1 and for pressure washer number 2. The hose reels are labeled, your manifold is labeled, everything's labeled so you know which one goes to which pressure washer, especially when you're first starting your system. So using your soap injector in combination with the manifold allows you to blend your bleach with your surfactant. That's what these two valves are, SH for bleach, surf for surfactant. And then this is our separate dip tube. So for example, we'll turn all of these are all in the off position. If you want to draw bleach and surfactant, you open up your bleach and you just kind of crack that surfactant a little bit, and then whenever you fire up your system, that's what you're going to be drawing through there. These are not precise metering valves like they are on the Softwash system, but they do give you the ability to blend things. So we'll go ahead and turn both of those off. Now if you want to use the dip tube assembly, which is this up here, this actually allows you, let me get this, got this all buttoned up, ready for transit. So this dip tube allows you to drop into any kind of bucket or tank or whatever you have that isn't on board here. If you just have a 5-gallon bucket of degreaser or some other solution that you want to use, you can do that. It also is long enough so that you can drop it down into your water tank if you want to rinse out your system, or sometimes we use it for winterizing, and you can just drop this right down into your antifreeze or your windshield washer fluid, whatever you're using, and draw it in through your system as well. So just kind of a good way to give you some options with your soap injector, and you're not limited to the tanks that you have on board here. And then again, same thing for the second manifold. You've got all of the same options blending together. We did paint the inside of the box truck. They don't always come white like this. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So we painted, we did add the protective flooring. This just keeps any water or chemicals or fuels that get spilled from soaking into the wood that's underneath and just extending the life of the trailer overall. We have some people that have spills. All you do is just put this on an incline, use a hose and rinse it all out, leave it at an incline, and it dries out nice. So very easy to use. It has a little bit of traction to it, so it's not as slippery as sometimes wet wood can be, especially wet wood with soap on it. So we do tend to use more electric hose reels on the box truck systems because it is higher off the ground. So very quick to reel those in and kind of get back to work, so you're not standing up here and doing all the hand cranking at a little bit more of an angle from the back of the truck. So if you have any questions on this package, we do have this on our website. Again, it's called the COACHWHIP package, and it's on 3rpressurewashers.com. We've done all different kinds of variations of this particular truck with or without certain things. So if you have any questions or you like how this works and you just want to hear a little bit more about it, feel free to give us a call. Thanks.